Call this meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, September 18th. 6 o'clock. Okay, next item is approval of the agenda. Motion reads that the agenda for council meeting of Monday, September 18th be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor McCall, Councillor Young, all in favor? Thank you. Any declarations of interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. So one of our first items, since there's no presentations, we have, I'd like to welcome Ari Hogenboom, his worship. He's on the long-term fundraising committee for Mapleview Landings redevelopment project, along with former county's clerk, Ms. Todd. So the floor is yours, sir.
Mayor Shanker, members of council, members of staff, members of the public, both here and who might be listening online, thank you for the invitation. You were municipality number 12 of 13 that I've been doing this sort of traveling circuit on this particular issue. It's something that I'm quite passionate about, and I'm pleased to be here. It's a bit of a homecoming for me. Those that might not know is that I worked here for 14 years, so in this building, and I hate to say it was probably about 50 years ago, but my name was on the document back here, so it's kind of nice. Anyway, it was the start of my municipal career, and I went from there to Smith Falls, and from there I went to the city of Dryden. I was the city manager, took early retirement, moved back to this area, served a term on council, and then I'm in my second term as the mayor of Rita Lakes Township, where I currently reside. So let me go through a few slides quickly for you and for the benefit of those that might watch this online as well. This particular facility, Mapleview Lodge, goes back to 1895. In 1972, it was established as Mapleview Lodge. It went under renovation in 2004, and today it's home to 60 residents that are served by 125 employees. It's, of course, owned and operated by the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. In 2022, the long-term care redevelopment project was announced to build a new 192-bed facility, which will accommodate the 60 residents that are in the existing facilities first, and then we'll start to work on the waiting list, which currently is over 225. It's an $80 million project. It's the largest capital project the United Counties has ever taken on. And of course, the province does contribute a portion of that, but they do that over the 25-year life cycle of the building. And the county taxpayers are responsible for all construction costs. It is currently 30% complete. I'm pleased to say it's on time and on budget. So that's a good thing. We're partway through the process. In July of 2022, we awarded the tender to McDonald Brothers. Construction is now underway. We have a spring 2025 target completion date, and the summer of 2025, we hope to move in our first residents. Mapleview Landings is what the new name for the entire facility is. For the entire property, it will house the new long-term care home. The current Mapleview Lodge will be repurposed for other uses, and that's currently under review by the United Counties. We expect that it'll be used for some type of housing, whether it's short-term housing for folks that don't yet need that full long-term care, but can function on their own in a smaller unit, and then move across the parking lot to the long-term care home when they need that service. We're also talking about potentially partnering with St. Lawrence College for training for nurses and things of that nature, and for even some of the staff who might come from Kingston or Ottawa or further away who don't want to commute back and forth to put in their 4 or 5 shifts. They can then basically rent a room and stay there. So we're looking at different options. We want to introduce it as the George Tackaberry Family Home. Very sincere thanks to the Tackaberry family for a very generous donation. They donated $400,000 for the naming rights of this particular building. So this is what it'll be called. Construction is underway. If you've driven by it at all, you'll see some of that activity in behind. It's great to see that work progressing. And as I said, on time and on budget. Did you know the baby boomer demographic in Leeds and Grenville is higher than in other regions? In Canada, I can speak for my own township, we're 25% higher than the provincial average for the number of seniors. So that tells us again that we're going to need a lot of additional long-term care home beds in the future, both private and public. And I can mention that the average age of people going into long-term care is 86 in the province of Ontario. The average stay is 18 months. So this is folks' home, their last home, for all intents and purposes. So I'm very passionate that we need to make sure that we provide absolute best life environment for these folks. Why donate? You'll enhance the quality of life for residents in this state-of-the-art long-term care facility. You can make a difference. Fundraising dollars to couple life amenities that enhance resident care. I want to make it clear, none of the funds that we're trying to raise here go to the capital cost of the facility or the operational cost of the facility. These are all about those extra things that are not normally or would not normally be part of regular life at Mapleview Lodge. So it would be extra wheelchairs. It would be lifts in the rooms. You know, currently I think the contract calls for us to put the tracking in every room. They're only purchasing, say, one lift per floor. So that means people have to wait. If they have trouble getting in and out of bed, they'll have to wait their turn. We want to enhance the experience for the people. We want to enhance that quality of service that our personal support workers can provide here. So we're looking at donations. We're looking at charitable tax receipts for the gifts. Our municipal gifts obviously don't require a charitable donation receipt, but folks that may be watching that might want to consider donating to this will know that we can provide full receipts for that. Next slide. We are a best-in-class municipal-run facility in Ontario. We, of course, encourage inclusiveness, diversity, tolerance, fairness, empathy, kindness, respect, sympathy, compassion, encouragement, and acceptance. We do instill a family environment at this facility. And many folks that have been in this facility will tell you that they really enjoy having a family member there and the service that they've got. We have a high staff to resident ratio, and we are very customer centric. Next slide, please. So this is the fundraising committee. It includes 4 former wardens of Leeds and Grenville. There's the CEO of Northern Cable, Shelley Bacon, is on our committee. The owner of Tackaberry, Kevin Tackaberry, is on this facility, on this fundraising committee. Leslie is here, and Kathy McHugh is the other person that we rely on to help us with our marketing. And then myself, I'm not sure why I got stuck on this committee, but I think it was because I recommended we start the committee. So I felt that when we started talking about building this facility, we needed to make sure that we had this opportunity to tap into the community and to make sure that we have those extras for these folks. So we had a bit of discussion at the start about what the goal should be. The goal is $3 million. We think that's achievable. We wanted to make it realistic. We wanted to make sure that the ask that we have of the public and of the municipalities is realistic. So there's some illustrations here of some of the rooms, and I will not spend any real time on that. But we do have private and semi-private resident rooms that would be built here. And these are affordable rooms. So in the private sector, I know facilities that are charging $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month for these facilities. Our rates are in the $2,500 range. Okay, these are set by the province. So again, as is the waiting list. So you may be at the top of the waiting list, doesn't mean you get the next room. The province will decide who has the highest need for this room. Okay, so it's not something that the United Counties can dictate in terms of who's next that goes into the facility. It's really the provincial government, and they go on the basis of a needs test. So we have a number of naming rights that we. Next slide. There we go. So at the start, we sort of said, okay, we'd like to get $300,000, for example, for the naming rights. Well, we got $400,000. Okay, so that was taken. But we have other items there that are listed. Neighborhoods. There are 6 neighborhoods. 2 have been spoken for. There's still 4 available. There's dining rooms. I am pleased to say that Rideau Lakes Township agreed to sponsor one of the dining rooms. Okay, so again, it's just a way of making a donation and having your name on a portion of the facility. Next slide, you'll see a few others there, $25,000, $15,000 items. Each resident room that we're looking at naming rights for $5,000. And I can tell you that next slide, please. Okay, the dining room, for example, earlier today, we were at the facility receiving a check from Will's Transfer for $10,000. So they've agreed that they'll be, have their naming rights associated with one of the dining balconies. So, and each time we have one of these donors, then we try to do public relations for them, you know, give them the press coverage, take photos, send them to the local media to acknowledge that those donations. We're also asking folks to step up, and churches and service clubs are starting to do this. Events such as bonspiels, golf tournaments, barbecues, bingos, fishing tournaments, community-based donations and corporate gifts. So that's how we got up to our $3 million. And I can mention there as well that every little bit helps. I know someone who's running a lemonade stand, you know. I personally sponsored, had 2 yard sales this year in the communities when the communities had the festivals, and I raised $1,700. So it's amazing what we have in our basement and our garage that we haven't used for years that we could put out towards a good cause like this. So will you consider a gift for naming rights, or a gift to the technology tote, or furniture and equipment, or any of those sorts of things? So it doesn't have to have something that has a name attached to it if Prescott decides that they want to make a donation, but it's just a nice way, I think, to continue to have your name in front of folks that might be residents there. Individual resident rooms are $5,000, living room is $15,000, sunroom is $15,000, dining balcony $10,000, dining room $30,000. Again, just an example. So what is the ask? The ask is $1 per resident for each of the next 3 years, okay? Where some municipalities, some folks have done their donation, a one-time donation. If you run a surplus at the end of the year and you want to sort of get it off the books, that's an option for you. So we're asking for $12,000, basically $4,000 a year for each of the next 3 years. And we give you a few examples of what you can name here. So any of the above donations will receive a red leaf on the maple tree of recognition. This is an example of a yellow leaf, okay? So again, we'll tie in with the name, Mapleview Landing. We'll have a major maple tree in the lobby, and individuals who make a donation of any amount, of any significant amount, will have a different colored leaf. So again, the next slide just talks about event fundraisers. I've talked to a number of service clubs already, and I know the Athens Lions Club, for example, stepped up to the plate with a $30,000 donation. I think in a couple of weeks' time, I'm speaking to the Elgin Lions Club and the Sealy's Bay Lions Club and the Westport Lions Club. So again, there are groups in our legions and groups and church groups that may be interested, and you folks would have those contacts that you could share this information with. And somebody from the fundraising committee would be happy to attend one of their events to explain what's going on. The benefits of the gift, I won't spend any time on that slide. I won't spend a lot of time on the Pear Tree Fund. The Pear Tree Fund is a special fund. It's been used by the Brockville Hospital. I don't know if it was used by your arena or not, but folks that make a contribution or donation of over $35,000 can get a 90% tax break with that. So, for example, I use 100,000 because that's an easy number. We've had people that donate $100,000. The net cost to them is $10,000 because they get a federal government tax break for $90,000. And these funds are through flow-through shares that go to the mining sector. The federal government is trying to promote exploration for new mines. So this is an opportunity for folks with deep pockets, obviously, or that have to pay federal income tax to give us more funds, obviously, and have it impact their bottom line less, okay? So we've had a number of these already, and I spoke to a corporation just in the last week that is looking at this as well. So that is there, and if people want more information about that, Leslie is the best contact. She can get you in touch with the individual, but I know that the Brockville General Hospital in their recent fundraising event utilized this to their advantage. Tree of recognition. So this is an exciting part. We appreciate every level of contribution. It all makes a difference. Donors that give $1,000 or more will be recognized on the maple tree of giving at the entrance to the facility, so you can have your name or your company or in memory of a parent, a grandparent, whatever you might want to do, and the different colors. The major gifts will be the foundation roots of the tree. So the Tackerberry family, for example, will have their name on one of the roots of the tree. So the next slide is the red leaf, orange leaf, yellow leaf, green leaf. And again, based on the size of the donation. And if Prescott is interested in the $12,000 donation, they would of course have a red leaf on this tree. Next steps, approval by donor for the dollar amount and contribution terms. So at some point in time, I would believe that Leslie will follow up with the council if they've had a discussion about this and what they want to do, if they want to do something. And then you become part of our list of donors, okay? Why donate? Well, our staff is exceptional. We've, in fact, the next slide, we've won awards from the Registered Nursing Association of Ontario for our service levels. We're sort of our best practice spotlight organization. But our real reason for donating is our residents. We want them to have a great experience at Mapleview Landing and like they have currently at Mapleview Lodge. Next slide. We did start the campaign May the 24th, which is only about 4 months ago. And we had some significant donations at the campaign launch. We got another $100,000 from Mr. Tackerberry in memory of his mother. His mother was a longtime resident at Mapleview Lodge. She was over 100 when she passed away this year. So, and then you can see some of the other groups that have stepped up. And then on June the 23rd, we had a $100,000 donation from the Masonic Lodge in Newborough. So again, some of the regional organizations are stepping up and helping us out to try to reach this goal. We had a summer giving tour at Tackerberry's where we got to tour his amazing vehicle collection. If you haven't been, it is simply amazing. And we all bought tickets for that, and we raised over $30,000 at that one-day event as well. Dave and Ann Beattie came up to us and gave us $300,000. So again, we know they're generous donors, and I believe I saw a sign at the arena where they made a donation there as well. The thermometer, I guess I'll go with the next slide. We're almost halfway there in 4 months. So we're sort of saying we want to have this campaign finished by the time we open the doors. So we've got another year and a half roughly to pull this together. And we're, the next phase is basically the family members, past and present, and individual donations are going to start to add up. $1,000 here, $500 there, it all makes a difference. We have some testimonials there that I won't spend any time on. Final slide there is simply the contact. Leslie is the primary fundraising contact for us. And as I said, I'm not looking for any sort of commitment today, but I want you to think about that, discuss it with your staff, discuss it as a council, and if you feel it's a worthy cause to support, then we'll be happy to hear from you. So I'm here to answer any questions. How did I do time-wise?
You did great. You did great. I want to mention that we have Councillor Kirkby and Councillor Lockett on the Zoom. Do either of you have any questions for His Worship? Ruth says no. Justin? Yes? Yep.
Yeah, as with always, people that come before council in Prescott, just wondering if you could provide a number of how many users from Prescott would be in your facility.
I don't know that I have that number, but I can give you an example. For example, roughly 30% of the residents are from the city of Brockville. So you wouldn't expect that either, but it's really just a question of, we don't control that because it's the provincial government. So if people put themselves on a waiting list, right? And they might put themselves on a waiting list for several facilities ahead of when they might think they need to go into long-term care. So Leslie, do you have one?
Well, I just wanted to add, in today's mobile society, what often happens is someone might live in Prescott their whole life. They may have children that live in Brockville or Athens or wherever, and then they may move to Brockville because they want to be closer to their doctors and transit and stuff. And then when they go into long-term care, their address is Brockville. So we've got such a mobile society that it's really hard to track where exactly people come from.
But I do remember seeing a list, and I think just about 12 of the 13 municipalities in Leeds and Grenville had at least one person in the facility currently. And as I say, with the turnover that you're going to get, it's sort of a moving target. So I apologize, Councillor Kirkby, I didn't have a more specific answer for you.
Nope, that's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell?
For you, with the system, the waiting list system and everything, people can put down their first three choices.
That's correct.
Would Athens be, you could put number one, Athens, even if you lived in this area?
You could put down Athens if you lived in Ottawa. Okay? It's just an open, it's such a provincially driven system. And as I said, yeah, you don't have to live in Athens. I mean, obviously folks in the more immediate area, which I include Prescott in that, they're going to want to stay in here. The other thing that I found in talking to a lot of folks, both there and outside of the facility, rural people tend to want to stay in a rural area or small town, it's not small town people are small town people, right? They love that ambience of being in a smaller community, or they don't want to have to go to Kingston or Ottawa. I can put it to you that way without getting into too much trouble. And in some cases, they told me, I don't even want to go to Brockville. When I'm ready to go to long-term care, I want to be able to look out my window and see cornfields and cows. And that's what you have at Mapleview.
No, it's just, brand new facility, excellent staff, and the price seems right, so maybe more people would.
Yeah, a lot of people, and we don't feel that it's going to be any problem filling those beds. The problem may be in recruiting the staff. And, because it's a very competitive marketplace right now for staff. Everybody with COVID and everything else, it's not a spot where everybody's lining up that wants to work as a personal support worker or a nurse in one of these facilities. But it's such a critical service area for us.
Thank you.
One more question, Councillor McConnell?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Shankar, I apologize for not recognizing you under your disguise earlier, Ari. Obviously, you were with us here in Prescott for many years.
14 years, I think.
Yeah, you started here. I was on the St. Lawrence Lodge board for 8 years with your predecessor, Ron Holman. And I'm curious, this one is going to be owned by the United Counties as well.
Yeah.
But Prescott is a partner in St. Lawrence Lodge. We committed to the building, we committed to a mortgage, and we expend a significant amount of money in our budget every year towards St. Lawrence Lodge. And we have two bills there actually for the mortgage pay down, and also for the number of people on a 5-year rotating basis from Prescott who are there. Now, from what I understand, you're saying any money that you get from us is not going towards a mortgage. It's not going towards supplementing the monies that people who don't have the money to pay the $2,500 a month get. So how are you funding this thing? Is the province building the whole thing?
No, the province is funding roughly half of it over a 25-year period. They pay, as the same with St. Lawrence Lodge, they pay a per diem per bed. That's a grant, right? So basically, the United Counties is funding this through, we're going to be venturing. Obviously, we have to take on significant debt. Now, fortunately, the United Counties is in fairly good financial shape. I think they have something like $45 million in reserves. So a portion of that will go to that project. But we have a second very large project as well that we're working on at the United Counties, which is the 4-lane through North Grenville, through Kempville. Okay, and we expect that to be in the $50 million range. Sorry. So yeah, we're a bit of a unique situation as a county that we have two homes that are municipally owned and operated. Okay, St. Lawrence Lodge is jointly with Gananoque, Prescott, Brockville, and United Counties, and that's the funding formula there is a shared formula, right? I think the county is the largest contributor, or maybe the city of Brockville is, but they're both fairly large, and then Gananoque and Prescott are smaller contributors. But this is to make sure that we're providing the best quality of life here. We will be setting up a separate fund that the county can't use to buy, replace the windows or replace the roof. We want it specifically for improvements to life amenities. So that's the goal. And once we raise the 3 million, we figure, we'll try to only spend the interest on those funds so that this is a fund that can carry on year after year. So we're looking at ways to make it easier to attract and retain staff, because, if you have a modern facility, it's easier on the staff as well.
If I may?
Sure.
Having been on the board of St. Lawrence Lodge and having my mother in there for 3 years, she actually passed away in there. I realized that the people that are in St. Lawrence Lodge come from all over, mainly United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. And an expansion like this in an area farther north, a lot of people, when they go to a lodge, isn't necessarily that's where they want to go. Maybe they are of a mental capacity that they don't even know they're going. It's the people that are committing them to these places want somewhere close so they can visit and help care for them. So what I'm thinking is likely with the expansion of the lodge in Athens that you'll get a lot of people from the northern part of the counties that are currently in St. Lawrence Lodge. There would be listing of that as a first preference rather than Brockville, which might open up more spaces in St. Lawrence Lodge for the people in the south part of the United Kingdom.
I think you're right. I mean, it's the family members that may help make those choices, but there's still a lot of folks that go into long-term care that still have their full mental capacities, right? And they'll put their choices down, but they may not get their first choice. And in some cases, St. Lawrence Lodge may be the first choice, but there's no space there either. I mean, we're at 100% capacity. I think St. Lawrence Lodge is as well, because I've served for 4 years on St. Lawrence Lodge Board of Management as well. So there's, as I say, with the demographics, there'll still be a waiting list when we're finished for both facilities.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
So we'll,
And I understand I don't have to stay for the whole meeting.
you can if you want. We'll probably discuss this. I think we talked about discussing it during the budget session.
Yeah, we can bring back a report at our next meeting.
Next meeting?
If you like, and then, but yeah, that's likely going to be the recommendation.
Yeah, so that's good. So we'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
So thank you for attending. Okay, we're going to quickly go through item 6.1, which is approval of the council minutes dated September 5th, 2023, be accepted as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Burton, Councillor Campbell. Any discussion on those minutes? No, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Great, thank you. And our next item is a closed session. So I have a motion that reads that council move into closed session. Thank you. At 6:28 PM to discuss matters pertaining to 7.1 purchase and sale matter under section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And 7.2 approval of closed session minutes from September 5th, as well as 7.3 solicitor client privilege under section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act, advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And the CEO, treasurer, clerk, economic development officer, and deputy clerk remain in the room for items 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. And that representation from Habitat for Humanity remain in the room for 7.1. Can I have a mover and seconder? I'm going to get them. Councillor Lockett and Deputy Mayor Kirkby. All in favor? Thank you.